Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Carolina, and on this channel we talk all things feminine energy, intuitive living, transforming your life, and all things related to the spiritual journey. In today's video, I wanted to talk about how you can start to thrive in your feminine energy by balancing your masculine and feminine energies. I used to be somebody who primarily lived in my masculine energy. I was always living in my mind, living in the future, always chasing, really believing that I needed to work hard and I needed to be disciplined. And when I discovered feminine energy a few years ago, I began to sink really into my feminine energy, and I started to overcompensate by leaning almost 100% into my feminine energy. And while I felt really creative and I felt really inspired and it felt good to just live in my body, live for the present moment and not always live for the future, my life just started to become a little disorganized because I didn't have any structure. I was overcompensating by stepping fully into my feminine energy, not having that masculine container, that masculine structure. So as I've really started to prioritize balancing these two energies in my life, I've began to really start to thrive in my feminine energy and allow myself to lean into that feminine side, but also still have goals and still have a direction. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how you can also balance these two energies in your life. Primarily live in that feminine energy, but still have that masculine container, that structure. Because while feminine energy is beautiful and magnetic, feminine energy is also very destructive. Feminine energy can be a bit chaotic because your feminine energy is wild. Feminine energy is all about living in the body and living in your experience. But if you are somebody who's high achieving and you actually want to do something with all of this creative energy, you need to have that masculine structure. So growing up, did you ever hear that term, opposites attract? Well, I believe that this is about energy, not so much about personalities, but about masculine and feminine energy. Because in a partnership, we tend to attract somebody who balances out our energies. People who are more in that feminine energy of creativity, of flow, they'll tend to attract a partner who's more in their masculine, who can bring that structure, who can organize their life, plan the dates. You see that a lot in partnerships where one person will be more in that receiving energy, leaning more into the feminine, and the other partner will be more in the masculine. But if you are single or you just want to create this balance within yourself, you need to learn to balance both of these energies. Learn how to intentionally switch between your masculine and feminine energies. Learn how to create structure to contain the feminine. Especially if you are somebody who has big dreams and big goals, learning to balance your masculine and feminine energy allows you to step more into your power. It allows you to be able to actually create your reality, actually take action on the things that you desire in life, and be able to actually use that feminine energy to fuel your dreams. So learning to balance both of these energies is truly going to make you unstoppable, because masculine and feminine energy are both very powerful, but when you're only in one energy, they become destructive. If you're too much in your feminine and you're always living for how you feel, you're always living in the present moment, you're always in that flow state, imagining everything is magical. While this is a beautiful energy to have in your life, if you don't have routines and you don't have any structure in your life and you don't have any goals, you're not going to be able to go where you want to be in your life. And the opposite is true as well. If you're always in that masculine energy and you're constantly living in the physical world, the 3D world, you're always chasing the things that you desire, you're always working harder, always living in your mind, you're actually blocking that creativity and you're blocking your blessings. You're not able to receive. So having this balance and adding that bit of masculine energy into your life will help you thrive more in your feminine energy. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to live primarily in that feminine energy, but also have that masculine container to contain that wild feminine energy. So the first step in thriving in your feminine energy is to figure out where in your life you're actually lacking that masculine structure. So maybe you're somebody who's super creative and you're always thinking of new ideas, new business ideas, new things that you want to do in your life, but you never actually take action on them. Well, you are missing that masculine quality of taking action, which in this physical reality is how we get results in our life. life. Or maybe you're consumed by all of these bad habits because you're telling yourself that you don't feel like doing them and you're listening to your body. When I first discovered feminine energy, I would use it as an excuse to be lazy because I was constantly thinking, oh, I'm listening to my body. My body doesn't feel like getting out of bed yet. My body doesn't feel like going to the gym today. But let me tell you something, that is not feminine energy. That is your mind tricking you into being lazy because your mind hates anything that's uncomfortable. So you have to have that discipline to stay on track with your goals and the things that you desire. Because while I do believe in the power of our bodies and learning to listen to our bodies, your mind can also trick you into being lazy. So I want you to just write out a list of all of the ways that you're leaning too much in your feminine energy and you could use more of that masculine energy, whether it's taking more action in your life, creating more routines, having more structure. Really just map out the areas of your life where you're not showing up for yourself because you don't have any masculine structure. The second way to thrive in your feminine energy is to create routines and actually start planning out your day, planning out your weeks. I used to really hate planning and having any sort of routine because I love being in that feminine flow and it made me feel creative to not have every second of my day mapped out. But I realized that in my life, I wasn't fully showing up for myself because I was wasting a lot of time. I was actually sabotaging by not creating a plan for myself. So when you plan out your days, you don't have to lose that feminine side of yourself, living in the flow and allowing yourself to just be in your fullest expression. You can actually plan out specific times for this. So plan out your entire day. Plan the times that you're going to go to the gym. Plan the times that you're going to clean your room. Plan the times you're going to do your focused work. But also leave in some times for that creative flow. Block out 1 hour where you just allow yourself to be in your creativity. Block out times where you don't have to do anything. And these are times where you can thrive in that feminine energy, where you can allow ideas to come to you and be in that receiving energy. Something that I've been doing lately is having some theme days. So I know that on Sundays, I wake up and that's the day of a reset. That's the day where I clean my physical space. I do all of those little tasks that I've been avoiding. I set myself up for success the following week. I also know that Monday, Thursday, and Saturday are my gym days. Those are days that I focus on strength training. And on the other days, I do long walks in nature or I go to yoga. Having these routines and planning for my week helped me embody more of my feminine energy because I was doing the things that I needed to do, and that created space for me to step even more into my feminine energy because I wasn't constantly worrying about what I had to do that day. I wasn't constantly living in my mind thinking about all of the things that I want to do, but instead I was creating an actionable plan for me to actually do the things that I wanted and needed to do, and then have the rest of the time to just be in my fullest expression, live in that flow state. The next way to balance your masculine and feminine energies is to create some non-negotiables and some rules for yourself. So like I mentioned before, when I was leaning too much in my feminine energy and I was constantly just living for how I felt in the moment, I was really self-sabotaging because I was really just using feminine energy as an excuse to be lazy. So creating some non-negotiables and some rules for yourself in your life allows you to have more discipline in your life. So for me, some of my non-negotiables are no scrolling in bed in the morning. I actually have an app on my phone that completely blocks all of my distractive apps until 12 p.m. And this is a non-negotiable for me because I know myself and I know that if I start scrolling on social media, I'm gonna be in bed a lot longer and it's gonna mess with my entire day. I'm not gonna feel as creative. Another non-negotiable of mine is movement. I'm a firm believer that movement really helps us release old energy, stagnant emotions. When we stay stagnant in our lives, we feel stuck. So for me, daily movement is a non-negotiable because I know that it makes me feel better and it helps me have more energy. It helps me move old energy out of my body, which again helps me show up more in my highest expression. So figure out what your non-negotiables are. These should be things that make you feel better and make you feel like you're thriving in life. Things that really help you show up more as your highest version. The next step in thriving in your feminine energy is to have a brain dumping notebook. This can be a physical notebook or this can be just a notes app. This is a place where you write everything down because writing things down helps us release all of these thoughts that are spiraling through our minds, because that physical act of writing something down or writing something in in your notes app, it allows that thought to not take up any more space in your mind, but it's actually somewhere physical. And this is really helpful when you're trying to be intentional with your time, or when you're trying to live in that feminine energy and that flow state. So for example, let's say that you're trying to have a really intentional morning. You're drinking your tea, maybe doing some breath work. You're doing all of these things to make you feel good, but you keep having all of these thoughts. I need to do this today. Oh, I can't forget about this. I need to make an appointment for this. Write it down so that it's not constantly going through your mind anymore, and you can actually be in the present moment. You can enjoy your intentional morning without all of these thoughts interrupting you. And the last way to come more into a balance with your masculine and feminine energies is to start giving. So a lot of us in our lives, when we learn about feminine energy and we learn about this receiving energy that you need to be in, a lot of us forget that it's an energy exchange. Receiving and giving, that's an energy exchange. So don't expect to constantly be receiving if you're not giving in return, because the more you give, the more you receive. So find ways in your life that you can actually give back. If you're in a partnership, find little things that you can do for that partner to show them more love. Or in your daily life, find little ways that you can add value to other people's lives, that you can enrich someone else's life. Even if it's making small talk with the cashier at the grocery store, giving somebody a compliment, showing somebody some kindness. This is going to help you thrive more in your feminine energy and actually allow yourself to receive, because you're also giving. And that is it for today's video. I really hope this video added some more perspective into your life and is going to help you thrive more in your feminine energy by having that masculine structure. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to this channel for more content on feminine energy, consciously creating your reality, and all things the spiritual journey.